From time to time, if you play No Limit Hold'em, you'll face difficult decisions on either the flop or the turn, where you're almost certain that your opponent has you beat, but your hand's good enough that if you hit just the right card on the turn or the river, you'll improve to have the better hand and maybe even win a really big pot. So in these situations, it would be really valuable if you knew how to calculate your exact chance of hitting that perfect card. In this video, we'll teach you exactly that through a method called counting outs. Let's work through a couple hands to demonstrate the method. In the first hand, we'll get dealt ace-queen. And the flop comes out pretty dry, 2-7-6 rainbow. Our opponent bets, and we're faced with a call to continue in the hand. Based on our opponent's history with us, we're pretty sure he has us beat. He probably has an overpair to the board, but not too high. Think of it as something like 10-10. Now, the only way for us to beat him would be to turn or river an ace or a queen. And we call the remaining aces and queens in the deck our outs, because they're our way out of the hand to improve our deficit into a winning hand. First, we'll count the outs. There are 3 unseen aces and 3 unseen queens. So we would say in total we have 6 outs. Now to calculate the chances of hitting one of these outs on the turn, we would divide the outs, 6, by the total undealt cards. Well, the unseen cards. There's 52 cards in the deck to start with, but we've seen 2 in our own hand, as well as the 3 on the flop. If you simplify that, that's 6 outs over 47 unseen cards. In percentage terms, it's about 12.7%. So we'd say we have a 12.7% of hitting one of our 6 outs on the turn. I mean, what if we don't get lucky and now we only have the lonely river to save us? We do the same calculation, but the numbers are a little different. Well, we still have 6 outs in the deck that we're looking to hit. But we just saw the turn, so there's 1 less unseen card, 46, and that gives us a little boost in our chance of hitting one of our outs to 13%, but not very significant. Let's look at an example with a little bigger stakes. Let's say we have ace-queen again, but this time it's ace-queen of spades, and the flop comes out 2 spades to give us the nut flush draw. This time our opponent bets, but he doesn't just bet, he goes all in. And now we're nearly certain he has a set or aces, so he has something like 2-2 or pocket aces, and the only way for us to beat him by the river is to hit a spade, to turn or river a spade to make the nut flush and overcome his current lead. The ace or the queen by itself, a non-spade ace or queen, won't do it this time. We're looking for one of the remaining spades. And how many are there? Well, we started out with 13. There's 13 of every suit in the deck. And we've seen 4 spades, the 2 in our hand and the 2 on the flop. So now we have 9 outs. 50% more than in the first example. Let's calculate our chances of hitting one of these outs on the turn. Remember, the outs go in the numerator, and the unseen cards go in the denominator. It's 47. It'll always be 47 on the flop, unless you've somehow seen by accident one of your opponent's cards. This simplifies to 19.1%. That's your chances of hitting your flush on the turn. And again, what if you miss on the turn? What are your chances of redemption on the river? It's 9 over 1 less unseen card because we saw the turn. And again, you get a boost, but it's a small boost to 19.5%. What's unique about this example, though, is our opponent went all in. So we're going to see both the turn and the river. We're interested particularly in our cumulative chances of hitting at least one spade by the river, so either on the turn or the river. That's good enough for us. And calculating this is a little trickier, but it's very valuable and you're going to want to learn it at some point in your poker career. To do it, we actually subtract from 1 the probability that we miss the flush. To calculate the chances that you miss the flush, you actually use the same math, but in the numerator, instead of your outs, you put your non-outs. On the turn, there's 47 unseen cards, and 9 of them are our outs, leaving 38 non-outs. On the river, if we don't hit, now there's only 37 non-outs and 46 unseen cards total. If you multiply these individual probabilities on the turn and the river, you get the joint probability of missing by the river. Subtract that from 1, and you simplify, it gives you about 34.9%, which is your chances of hitting a flush draw by the river. And you'll notice it's much bigger than the 19.1 or 19.5% of hitting your flush on either the turn or the river. So it's a nice boost, and most players will simplify this to just 1/3 and remember it for their poker career.